Okay, folks. So I believe this is day 167 of Nofap. Um, I don't know if I really have much to say right now. I'm just trying to keep my mind off of certain things and um, trying to take care of some stuff today. Some just life responsibilities like laundry and try and knock down another chapter or two of those additional problems that I've basically selected for doing to get basically be at least feel as ready as I can for the exam. Um, and like I said again, like not get caught up in thinking about the events of the past week, or more so broadly the past 2 months or so. Um, and I'm trying to see the silver lining in all this, because for one thing, and I've described this in like so many freaking videos over the last few months or so. But that place was just a really toxic, dysfunctional workplace. If it was a healthy, functional place, like this kind of stuff just would not be happening. Um, and that's even like taking into account human nature and the fact like you put guys and girls into an environment and close quarters, that all things will happen. And even taking that into account, um, and it's kind of why I'm grateful that I actually worked at another biotech company in the area to see like, okay, I can do a cross comparison, like here's what it's like in a healthy functional place where people, are professional and they don't, you know, get involved in that kind of guff, that sort of thing, versus this place. I guess I'm also not trying to dwell on the whole like concept of justice and what that's supposed to, because what's that supposed to look like, that whole question. It's kind of like the question of like what is happiness supposed to look like? What is success supposed to look like? Um, what is justice supposed to look like? Because with a lot of these girls, like it's almost like the comeuppance they'll get. It doesn't feel like comeuppance to us as guys. Their comeuppance is okay. They get into their 30s or their 40s and they're being pressured by their families, or um, they're just basically stuck in a loop where it's like, okay, they're now the cat lady with the boxed wine, and they have their career, they have their money, and they got their empty apartment, empty except for themselves and their cats, and you know now they're all crying and sad, or they're having to like fight with their parents or something like that, like about why they're not married or why they don't have kids, or maybe they become the single mom and they're living paycheck to paycheck, having to face those sorts of things, and it's at a point where like there is no sort of turning around or going back. Maybe that's justice in their case, and it's not the result per se of one event of them screwing somebody over or throwing somebody out of the bus or leading somebody on, teasing them, um, messing around with one guy, who's the wrong guy for in terms of at least the long-term commitment, or it's sort of like the result of accumulation of multiple incidents like that. And in truth, like I don't know this girl 150%. Um, she went to school in Arizona, and I think the two schools I think the one that she went to is really known as a party school. So I mean, I don't know all the stuff that she may have been up to, and maybe she's got skeletons in her closet, a whole trail of tears of guys, who she did the same sort of thing to that she did to me. Except that maybe this time was the one time that anybody ever called her out on it, or she ever faced any sort of even a slap on the wrist, for that sort of stuff. So I don't know, but talking to my sister, especially last night, it's kind of like, okay, you just got to put this behind you. I don't know if there's I don't know if there's any really lessons to be learned from this, to be honest with you, because it almost seems like when I look at this, it almost seems like this was gonna happen. And maybe the red flags weren't starting off with her. It was starting off with that male employee who was harassing me all the time. It's kind of like, okay, this is clearly not gonna work out long term. Because after I'd gotten harassed by that guy enough times, I mean, I was literally looking at this as, okay, just get through these 2 weeks and get that next paycheck, and then like when I get that paycheck, I'd kind of like breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because I'd get to take care of some bills. But it wasn't like I was really enjoying working there, you know. Of course, the irony is when she started going after me, basically love bombing me, it was like, okay, I was starting to actually enjoy that working there because I thought there was something for me here, which fortunately there wasn't. And it's really sad because it's kind of like, you remove all the legal ramifications, the getting fired part, all that kind of stuff, and you look at it from a really like harsh angle on things, and it's sort of like, she in many ways kind of got the guy she wanted, who was the other guy, this dad bod, man bun, effeminate type, and she was able to get rid of me. And from the sounds of it, she'll still be employed there. I don't know if they're just giving her another week and then they're like, okay, like, we've cleared up things with this other guy, got rid of him. Now it's time to go and, sort of work through the rest of them. I don't know if anybody's had any experience with this kind of stuff and, they dealt with a situation where there were like, let's say, 2 or 3 people who were, at fault. I mean, do they all just get rid of them all in the same week, or do they, work through like, okay, we got rid of this guy, now we're gonna get rid of the next one, and the next one, and then okay, now all 3 are gone, and we're done with this sort of a deal, you know? Or am I just am I being the fall guy? I don't know. I might, probably not gonna check back on comments right now, because if I get that sort of response, I'm just not gonna want to see it right now, because it's just not something I can really handle, to be honest with you. And I don't really care if that makes me look like a weak guy or whatever, because it apparently seems like in this society, at this point in time, being the weak, effeminate guy, is no longer the bad thing. And this is also another example of like why, it's sort of like self-improvement doesn't necessarily do what you think it's gonna do. And it's kind of like why if there's, from here on out, there's any girl flirting with me, like I gotta nip that in the bud right away, because it's not like it's ever gonna really lead to what I would want it to lead to. And even if I was just going and saying I just want to get laid, like it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And again, it's the irony of the question of like, so if I want to get the girl, if I want to get the girl, I've got to undermine my health. I've got to pack on a bunch of fat. I've got to start acting like a, fey type guy. And what's that going to do? So I got to get myself a hernia or type 2 diabetes, heart disease, possibly be getting, labeled as as a homosexual by people who are not too friendly to that community, or being mistaken as one by someone who's a member of said community, and then having to go through even further drama of like, rejecting some guy who might be coming after me thinking that I'm, into that sort of stuff, and then, all these complications that have to enter into my life, just so I can be more attractive to some woman who has daddy issues, or is whatever you want to call one, quote unquote, those type who are intimidated by a guy who's like conventionally masculine. Like, it's just so stupid. Like, and this is an example yet again of why I think that women don't understand men. They don't understand that so much of why guys try to improve themselves, get themselves into better shape and such, is because they want this girl or that girl, And they're not doing this so that, oh, we can intimidate you. It's like, no, because we want you to like us. We want you to want us, Like, if I go and I work out, I'm not doing this, oh, yeah, I want to, like, scare away all the girls, because if I get a six-pack, they'll run the other way. It's like, no, maybe it's like, I like this specific girl, she's Indian, or she's Moroccan, or whatever, and I'm thinking, like, maybe if I, exhibit conventionally masculine traits, she'll feel desire for me, and then, that'll grant me the opportunity to ask her out, and she'll actually say yes, and she'll actually show up, and then, at the very least, I get a date, and maybe it gets to 2 dates, 3 dates, eventually a relationship, etc., etc., and I think that's something that you know, in my humble opinion, that's something that women don't understand about men. And these women in particular who are like, oh, I'm intimidated by this guy who's like in better shape, and he has a mission in life, and he's driven to accomplish that and that sort of thing. It's just like, I'm not going to go and leave the woman I love because of my mission in life, okay? The reason I have a mission in life, I mean, partially it's my human nature, my masculine nature, but part of it is because, I look at it as my job. It's that burden of performance. If you're a man and you're going to be, getting with a woman, especially long term, I mean, you got to be that guy. You think about, like, you want to go back over the last, like, several thousands of years, multiple civilizations. It was kind of like, if you were a man, you were expected to be strong. You expected to know how to use, a weapon to defend not only yourself, but your wife and kids, to defend the village, to defend the city, to defend the the republic or the empire or the nation, And it wasn't because you were just wanting to go hurt someone or you wanted to just look all big and bad. It was like that was your role, And if you wanted a wife, you wanted to keep a wife, you wanted kids, you wanted to be able to protect them and raise them and all that, you had to do that sort of stuff. And that meant, physical labor. And oftentimes, yeah, the physical labor that would give you the muscles you needed was obviously just like survival type stuff, working on a farm or hunting or, whatever the case may be. But you would do that with that intention of not only providing for your family, but also building yourself up to be strong, to take care of them and protect them because you loved them. You desired your wife and you loved your wife. You desired, to be a good father. You loved your kids, Nothing creepy or weird or dysfunctional necessarily. I mean, nine times out of 10, not like that. Obviously, there are imperfect families out there, and bad things go down and all that sort of stuff. People do really screwed up stuff, but by and large, it was a case of like these natural desires and this natural love, that men would do these sorts of things. They would build houses and castles and the walls of the city and all these buildings, and they would go and settle the land. They would chop down the trees, whatever, turn into farm fields, for growing crops and all. They would do all that kind of stuff in large part due to their love for women, and people may see that as screwed up. People might try and tell you, like, nowadays, oh, you gotta do it all for yourself and whatnot. It's like, again, it's a sign of dysfunction in society. That we've forgotten that men and women are better together than they are apart. And it's like sort of that natural magnetism that push and pull that, brings them together, has brought them together down the millennia. That is really, I mean, that's why we're even here. Because men and women would get together, they would, have kids, they would build a life together, they would build, and out of that family unit would come a civilization, ultimately, from the bottom up. And it all start off with that, the man wanting the woman wanting the man exhibiting conventionally masculine traits, the woman exhibiting conventionally feminine traits, and those two, that polarity drawing people together. And we've gotten to a point where it's like somebody like me sitting here and saying, this sort of stuff. It's almost like I'm speaking in alien language, or I'm just like, it's almost like the words I use will come off as almost like expletives, or like derogatory terms, like slurs. It's like I'm not trying to slur anyone. I'm not slurring anyone. I'm not throwing out expletives, just by using these words. But it's a sign of the times, I think. But anyways, it's something that's affected me, and is affecting me, and I'm trying to minimize how much that does, because it's sort of like the consequences will fall on my shoulders if I don't get my studying done, if this and if that, and ultimately, like, it's kind of like they're getting what they wanted. Other way, and I know that's the truth, and it sucks, and it's something that I had to sort of not try and dwell on. But yeah, it's that sort of that realization that people desire mediocrity so much, and that's even like in terms of relationships or money or education or anything in life. Like, so many of the problems we have these days are ultimately because of that sort of a deal. Whether the girl doesn't want to give the better man a chance because she's intimidated, and she thinks she assumes all sorts of things about him. She doesn't understand masculine honor or virtue. Like, I think about Alex and his situation that he was talking about in some of the comments, and it's sort of like, these women don't understand that there are so many guys out there that even if they had the upper hand and they had like this other woman in front of them who was like, down to go, wanted to get after it, but the guy was married, or he had his girlfriend, and out of his love for his girlfriend, out of his love for his wife, out of his sense of honor, he would like rather walk through fire. If his wife was on the other side, he would rather walk through fire to be with his wife or to be with his girlfriend than take a shot at getting with that girl. And women not being able to understand and appreciate that kind of a thing, that causes a heck of a lot of problems. And the fact that they'll go choose a mediocre guy, or obese, effeminate kind of a guy, or just some guy who doesn't have a job, is a loser, he's a druggie, or he's a drug dealer, or he's a criminal. He's just some like soy boy, as the term goes. Just because mediocrity is like easier to control and comfortable and that sort of thing. Not understanding that a lot of guys out there, even if they're top shelf guys, because of the way they think, they would not be expecting so much out of their, out of the woman they're with. It's like a whole like, be nice, don't treat me like trash, be loyal, stuff like that. It's like, okay, that'd be worth its weight in like, gold, or whatever ultimate like precious metal will be like worth its weight in that. To so many guys. And then you think about like the mediocrity of people choosing to not pay off their debts and try to like play hooky with the system, and okay, I'm not gonna I'm gonna default on this, let it go to collections, and I'll wait 7-8 years or whatever, and hopefully it gets written off then. It's like choosing to be that kind of a loser, or choosing that kind of mediocrity, even if they have the opportunity to take care of that sort of stuff, or people choosing not to change up their diets or exercise to get in shape because it's far easier not to, and it's far easier to just crack jokes about this and that and be like just a bum, you know? I mean, all these different aspects of life, people choose this kind of stuff, and it's sort of like so much the reason why we have all these problems in society that we have is because of this kind of stuff. And I could throw in the student loan business, that sort of deal where people chose to major in fields that were never going to provide them with the kind of income that allowed them to pay their loans back. And because they messed up on that, wanting all that stuff to be written off, which, look, if stuff was written off, it would definitely help me. But at the same time, I kind of look at it in the sort of bigger sense of like, okay, and when is the next big bubble going to happen because of the same kind of thinking and the same kind of decision making, It kind of seems like we have all these trends going on these days that are leading to that. And it manifests in my own life, It manifests on a greater scale. And, yeah, this all really sucks. And I'm living in the same area where I went to school, and I have to walk through different places, and I don't know. I'm trying to handle things as best I can, but it all seems like very much a hopeless situation. And I'm trying not to think of it like that. I mean, maybe 5 or 10 years in the future, I'll have met a woman who has the looks of this girl at work, the looks of, the girl in college, but have, different personality. Like, I remember this friend of mine, the girl, in college, and I mean, she was married and all that. I was never going to go for her, and I didn't necessarily consider her physically attractive enough, but like her personality, if any of these other girls that I was into had that personality, I mean, I'd be married by now. Because I was able to like have that connection, that sort of, that sort of connection. If you had, like I said, given that personality to any of these other girls and thrown in like that tension, which, existed there, that, quote unquote sexual tension, I'd be married by now. And I wonder what kind of a guy I would be. I'd probably smile a lot more. I wouldn't be so angry or frustrated with life. I wouldn't have such a hard time sleeping at night. But, I don't know. This is turning into a woe is me sort of channel again. And I don't like that. I really don't like that. I want to be sitting here telling people that, life is great, and that it quote unquote does get better eventually if you keep at it and all that kind of stuff. But I seem to be in one of those spots right now. Like, my headspace is kind of messed up, I may just, give my folks a call again later on. But that'll probably only be if I get some problems done, get some stuff knocked out. And, in that case, then I'll be able to go, okay, things ain't so bad. And, life is all right. So, anyways, I guess this kind of turned into almost a documentary of like, okay, what can you reasonably expect from Nofap? What is it not going to solve? That sort of thing. And, yeah. And, I was thinking of driving up to this restaurant further up where I used to go for my sort of cheat meals. But I don't know, like, I'm kind of like, maybe I'll go later. Maybe I'll get like a second meal there later in the day. But right now, I'm probably just going to stick around this area and give myself some stuff. But did want to end this on a positive note for those who have stuck around this long. I mean, I'm not really expecting people to stick around and hear me ramble about my screw-ups in life and the suckiness of my existence or whatever. But I have been really sticking to that slow carb diet. It's ironic enough that having been let go from this workplace actually made it easier to do that. But I believe the last time I weighed myself, which was either on Sunday or Saturday either Sunday this week or Saturday last week, I I was like 205.4 pounds, and then I weighed myself today, and I've dropped 2 pounds and 2/10 of a pound, so like 2.2 pounds. So now I'm down to 203.2. And if I can keep that up or increase that, I mean, I keep going on that path. I mean, I'll be able to get back into a healthy BMI and then go from there. And maybe that'll be in tandem with like the pool opening up, me getting some spots reserved, and maybe the fencing place opening up, something like that. Finding those sorts of things to do, because I also honestly feel like a lot of this sort of crap that's happened recently is also a result of just like not having anything else to do, not having any other people to be around, different types of people, where who knows, maybe if had been able to go fencing or swimming or so, maybe I would have met some girl over there and it would have been a far better scenario and that sort of a deal. But you never know. You never really know until I guess you know. But anyways, yeah, I'm losing some weight. That's at least working out. So, anywho, I'll see you folks around. Hopefully, stay 167 of Nofap. I'm in a bit better spot mentally, but I'm gonna have to work myself through stuff. So, anywho, I'll see you folks around. Bye bye.